Ever wondered if those small Australian 10-cent coins from the 70s might be worth more than just pocket change? Well, you're not alone. These old coins may seem ordinary, but some of them carry unique stories, rare errors, and surprising value. Whether it's the beautiful lyrebird design, limited mintages, or hidden collector demand, each coin has something special to offer. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1976, 1978, and 1975 Australian 10-cent coins. You might just discover you've been holding on to a tiny treasure without even knowing it. First up, the 1976 Australian 10-cent coin. Let's take a closer look at a coin that may seem small and common, but has plenty to offer, both in design and collector value. The 1976 Australian 10-cent coin might just be lying forgotten in your drawer or piggy bank, but after this, you might see it in a whole new light. This coin is part of Australia's decimal currency system, which began in 1966. By 1976, the country was already 10 years into using dollars and cents instead of pounds, shillings, and pence. The 10-cent coin was one of the core denominations introduced during that transition, and it stayed visually consistent for decades, which is part of its charm. The obverse side features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold Machin. His version of the Queen wearing a tiara was used not just in Australia, but in many other Commonwealth countries as well. The design is formal, classic, and elegant, adding a royal touch to every piece of change in people's pockets. On the reverse side, we have one of Australia's most iconic native birds, the lyrebird. This design was crafted by the famous Australian artist and goldsmith Stuart Devlin. The lyrebird isn't just a pretty bird, it's known for its incredible mimicry skills and its beautifully fanned tail, which looks stunning on the coin. Devlin's attention to detail gives the design a sense of motion and life that sets it apart from many other coin designs of the era. In terms of physical features, the coin weighs 5.65 grams and is made of a copper-nickel alloy. It has a diameter of 23.6 millimeters and a reeded edge, giving it that distinctive feel and texture. It's relatively lightweight, but it's durable and built to last. Now let's talk mintage. In 1976, over 46.1 million 10-cent coins were produced. That's a big number, meaning the coin is considered quite common in circulated condition. However, not all coins are treated equally over time. Some are tucked away in collections, while others stay in circulation, getting scratched, worn, and dinged up. A coin's condition, known as its grade in the collector world, plays a huge role in its value. If your 1976 10-cent coin is in average circulated condition, it's usually worth face value, just 10 cents. But if you've got a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition, no scratches, no signs of wear, then things get interesting. These coins can be worth anywhere from $1 to $15 or more, depending on their quality and shine. A professionally graded MS65 Plus example could be sought after by collectors. But wait, there's more. What really spices things up for collectors are error coins. These are coins that were misprinted or misstruck at the mint. Think off-center strikes, double strikes, cuds, or die cracks. If you spot a 1976 10-cent coin with a striking error, its value can skyrocket. Some of these errors are subtle and easy to miss, so it's worth taking a closer look with a magnifying glass. Interestingly, no commemorative versions or mint mark variations were released for the 1976 10-cent coin, so the main focus remains on the standard strike and condition. That said, coins struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra during that time still followed top-notch production standards, making well-preserved examples truly beautiful. Now, let's talk about the collector scene. Many Australian collectors are particularly fond of assembling full-year sets or full decimal runs, one of each coin from each year. If you're trying to complete a full set of 10-cent coins from 1966 to the present, the 1976 coin is obviously a must-have. However, most collectors aren't going to settle for a beat-up coin pulled from pocket change. They want one that looks nearly untouched. That's where the value lies. The 1976 10-cent coin may not seem exciting at first glance, but it's part of Australia's rich numismatic history and a key piece in any serious decimal collection. Plus, its intricate design and potential for condition-based value make it worth keeping an eye out for. So, next time you're sifting through your change or an old coin jar, don't dismiss that shiny little 10-cent piece too quickly. It might be from 1976, and it might just be in the kind of condition collectors are after. Whether it ends up being a cool historical find or a little treasure worth a few bucks, it's definitely a coin worth knowing about. Next up, the 1978 Australian 10-cent coin. Now let's move on to another classic from the Australian decimal coinage series, the 1978 Australian 10-cent coin. At first glance, it might look just like any other 10-cent coin in your spare change, but there's a lot more going on once you dig into the details. First things first, the design remained unchanged from previous years, continuing with the elegant simplicity that Australians had come to recognize and trust. On the obverse, you'll once again see the dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. His version of the Queen features her wearing the royal tiara and facing right. This particular portrait was used on Australian coins from 1966 up until 1984 and is beloved by many collectors for its classic, calm, and timeless presentation. Turn the coin over, and there it is again, the striking lyrebird, one of the most majestic and iconic creatures in Australia's wildlife. Designed by Stuart Devlin, this reverse side is full of intricate detailing. The lyrebird stands gracefully, its large tail feathers curling in a spectacular fan. For a 10-cent coin, the artwork is surprisingly rich. Devlin's ability to pack so much beauty into such a small space is part of what makes his designs stand out in the coin world. In terms of specifications, this coin is just like its 1976 counterpart. It weighs 5.65 grams, has a diameter of 23.6 millimeters, and is made of a copper-nickel alloy. It also features a reeded edge, helping it stand out both visually and by touch. Nothing changed in terms of physical traits. Australia kept a consistent look and feel to ensure smooth circulation. Now, let's get into the production numbers. In 1978, the Royal Australian Mint produced approximately 39.4 million of these 10-cent coins. Compared to 1970 SXS 46 million, that's a slightly lower mintage, but not low enough to make this coin especially rare in average circulated condition. That said, there are always variations in how coins age, and that's where it gets interesting. In circulated condition, your average pocket change style, the 1978 10-cent coin is generally worth just that, 10 cents. But when it comes to uncirculated or mint-state examples, collectors start to take notice. Coins that have been well preserved since 1978, without scratches, wear, or damage, can sell for $1 to $10 and higher if the coin has exceptional luster or sharp strike. Certified coins with a grade of MS65 or above from grading companies like PCGS or NGC can be worth even more depending on demand. As with other years, the real surprises are the error coins. Error coins are basically factory mistakes, and collectors absolutely love them. A double strike, off-center strike, die rotation, or cut error can make the value of a 10-cent coin jump significantly. These types of minting flaws don't come around often, but when they do, they get attention. If you find one with a clear error and in great shape, you could be looking at $50 or more, sometimes higher, depending on the market and rarity of the mistake. There weren't any special commemorative editions or alternative designs in 1978, so the standard coin is all we have to work with, but it's a solid piece of Australia's coin history. Like most coins from this era, it has nostalgic value to Australians who remember using it daily. And for collectors, it's a vital piece in completing a full decimal 10-cent year set. Another neat thing to mention, the 1978 10-cent coin falls during a time when Australia was improving its minting technology and consistency. That means coins from this year tend to have a nice, clean strike, making well-kept examples particularly attractive in high grades. So, should you hold on to your 1978 10-cent coins? Absolutely, especially if they look shiny, clean, and sharp. If you've got one in uncirculated condition, pop it into a protective flip or coin album to preserve its value. And definitely give your coin a close inspection. You never know when a minor imperfection could turn into a major payday. All in all, the 1978 Australian 10-cent coin is a fine example of classic coin design, solid minting standards, and the kind of history that makes even the smallest denominations worth collecting. It may not be extremely rare, but it's still a treasured part of any Aussie decimal coin collection. Next up, the 1975 Australian 10-cent coin. Now let's rewind just a little further and take a look at the 1975 Australian 10-cent coin, a piece that's often overlooked but deserves some attention. Whether you're a casual collector or just someone who enjoys hunting through spare change, this coin holds a subtle mix of history, design, and collector potential that might surprise you. First, let's start with the design. If you're familiar with the coins from the mid-70s, you'll instantly recognize the layout. On the obverse side, we once again have the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machin. This version of the Queen, featuring her wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, was used on Australian coinage from 1966 through 1984. It's elegant, regal, and simple, qualities that help it remain timeless even decades later. Flip the coin over, and there it is, the magnificent lyrebird, gracing the reverse side. The lyrebird's extravagant tail feathers swirl in an intricate pattern, giving the coin an artistic and distinctly Australian flair. This design was created by Stuart Devlin, the same artist responsible for many other Australian coins. The detail in the feathers, the posture of the bird, and the overall composition make this coin feel like a tiny work of art, something that stands out in your hand even among modern coins. Let's talk about the physical details. The 1975 10-cent coin weighs 5.65 grams, has a diameter of 23.6 millimeters, and is made from a copper-nickel alloy, just like its brothers from the same decade. The edge is reeded, and while the coin is small in size, it carries a very distinct feel. When you hold one, you can immediately tell it's not a modern coin. It just has that classic weight and sound when dropped on a hard surface. Old school in the best way. Now on to mintage. In 1975, the Royal Australian Mint struck approximately 35.6 million of these coins. That's notably lower than many other years in the same decade, especially when you compare it to the nearly 50 million made in 1976. Does that make it rare? Not exactly, but it is less common than its neighboring years. For everyday pocket change, that doesn't mean much. But for collectors, it's definitely a number worth paying attention to. If your 1975 coin is in circulated condition, it usually doesn't fetch more than its face value, just 10 cents. However, if you happen to have one in uncirculated or near-perfect mint state, you're in a different ballgame. These coins can go for $2 to $15 depending on the quality, eye appeal, and strike. If you're lucky enough to have a coin graded MS65 or higher, it could even command $30 or more among the right collectors. What really spices things up are mint errors. Like other coins from this era, the 1975 10-cent coin is known to have a few oddities, although they're pretty rare. Errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, double strikes, or planchet flaws can drive the price way up, especially if the error is dramatic and the coin is still in excellent condition. Some error coins have sold for $50 to $200, depending on how unique they are and how much interest there is from collectors at the time. Also, because 1975 was a period without commemorative designs for the 10-cent denomination, the standard strike is all you'll find, no mint marks, no variants. This makes the 1975 coin a staple in year-specific collections. If someone's aiming to build a full 10-cent run from 1966 onward, they'll definitely need the 1975 to fill that gap. Another point worth noting is coin roll hunting. Many Australian collectors still hunt through coin rolls from banks, looking for better condition versions of older coins like the 1975 10-cent. Why? Because sometimes rolls of coins contain coins that were put into storage decades ago, escaping the wear and tear of circulation. So if you're into collecting, try your luck with a fresh roll. You never know what condition gem you might find. So, what's the final verdict on the 1975 Australian 10-cent coin? It might not be a jackpot for most, but it's certainly not a coin to ignore. With a lower mintage than some surrounding years, a timeless design, and the potential for value in high-grade or error conditions, it's definitely a piece to watch. And even if you don't sell it, just having it in your collection connects you to a unique slice of Australian currency history. So the next time you're going through an old coin jar, keep your eyes peeled for that 1975 date. It might look like just another coin, but if it's shiny, error-filled, or just in amazing shape, you could be holding something a lot more interesting than spare change.